What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Career Talk with Taylor. In this video, I want to talk about a topic that I've been seeing online. Are Black women expected to be extroverted while at work? Now, this is a topic that I really am interested in because I have mixed feelings about if Black women are expected to be extroverted at work. If you feel like you are someone who has to go above and beyond just to be seen or heard, or maybe you're someone who is kind of like me. I see myself as a ambivert, which is a silly thing to really put titles on, what you are. But sometimes I feel like I'm an extrovert in situations, and sometimes I feel like I'm an introvert in situations. But I want to talk about these personality types and how they affect you at work, whether they affect you at work or not. So let's go ahead and unpack this topic. Stay tuned and let's get right into it. Are Black women expected to be extroverted while at work? Let's unpack this issue. So, first of all, I just want to say, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you can see all of the posts that I'm going to make, all of the videos that I'm going to make surrounding talking about careers and things of that nature. If anything sparks your interest or you want to just share something with me or with other viewers, make sure you put it in the comments below so that we can kind of get a discussion going here, because I would love to hear what you all think about this topic. A lot of people come out and say, well, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm an ambivert, however you say it. People are always putting these titles to describe or talk about their personality types. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody wants to be able to identify with something. Are Black women, specifically Black women, expected to be extroverted while they are at work? And make sure you stay until the end of this video, because I'm going to be giving you 5 really important tips that you can use so that you can, understand how to bring out that authentic side of you even while you're at work, regardless of whether you're an extrovert, an introvert, or whatever it is that you identify with. I'm going to be giving you these really great tips on how you can be authentic at work, so it doesn't matter whether you're introverted, extroverted, or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to read to you all the posts that I saw, and maybe I'll even be able to put the post somewhere in this video as well so that you all can see it. But basically, this post says, Black women are not allowed to be introverts in professional settings, and that ish is draining. And then someone else commented back to that person and said, literally just talking about this today, we have to intentionally smile, be friendly, be warm, make small talk when there is none, and generally go out of our way to show that we're not mad. And if not, we're assumed to have an attitude. And we get ignored and overlooked, we disappear. I personally could not think of, off the top of my head, a time where I really felt like I had to be unauthentic in the workplace. And then I just realized, I'm not sure what type of work environment these two young ladies, were in when they felt this way, but I was in a Black-owned entertainment company, and the leaders of that organization were Black women, and it felt like, they used their authentic selves in order to push the entire organization forward. So that's pretty much what I was able to witness at the very, very, very beginning of my career. And because of that, I never felt like I had to bring anything less than my authentic self to work. It didn't really matter to anybody. If you were an introvert, you were an introvert. If you were an extrovert, then you were just all over the place and everyone knew who you were, and it was fine to be both ways. I think that having that experience of working in a environment that's uniculturally Black and Black owned, even though it was an environment that had other races, but it was predominantly a Black space, a Black environment. So I personally never really felt like I had to be unauthentically myself, just because I had that experience and I was able to witness that at my foundation. So even when I went on to other organizations and workspaces that may not have been predominantly Black, I never felt like I needed to go ahead and, be anybody else or come out of my shell even more, just so that people could really understand who I was and take a liking to me. And I think that it's really important to have foundations where you can have those type of experience and to be able to see people who are like you, who are doing amazing things and doing things in an authentic way and being authentically themselves, because it shows you that, you can also do the same thing. And it kind of, if you never see it, then you could never be it. Basically, if you never see it, you can't be it. So I don't really know, how my experience would have been if I started out in a workspace that was predominantly white or predominantly not Black, rather. It's really about your entire foundation. So that is something that we don't know when it comes to this this topic as it pertains to the post that I read. But I do think that it's important to keep that in mind, that your background does play a part in how you perceive and how others perceive you, especially when it comes to being in a professional workspace or a professional setting. Even I can, confess to doing certain things like straightening my hair for a job interview or dressing a certain way, just so that I can feel like I'm conforming to certain beauty norms that people who are outside of the Black community may be more used to seeing. And, trying to make people comfortable, or thinking that I have to make people comfortable with me in order to be accepted in these spaces. So I did learn that, there are some Black women who feel like going into workspaces that are not predominantly Black, that they feel like they have to, conform, or they feel like they have to fit in certain ways, because the majority of people in that workspace may not be used to certain, beauty norms that the Black community has, or they may feel like the majority of those people are not aware of certain diversity of thought amongst different types of Black people, and so they feel like in those spaces they are misunderstood, and they feel like they are a lot of times not heard, or they may disappear just because they are not sure whether or not, people really understand the cultural background. And even that all in itself is a lot. And it's something that, Black people, Black women, definitely have to subconsciously think about throughout the day. And then if you're an introvert on top of that, and you just already don't like groups that much, you already kind of, feed off of your own energy in order to get through the day. If you, on top of all of that, have to, then worry about if people don't like you just because you would rather have your head in your laptop as opposed to talking to someone, you know, in the lunchroom at the little water thing about your weekend. It can be a lot to carry. And so I think that it's just something that, you know, we all have to be aware of. And like I said, figuring out ways to still be authentically yourself and ways to kind of cope with that type of mindset, because everything is a mindset. And even all of that I just kind of talked about is a mindset that is based off of the foundations and your perceptions and all of that may or may not even be true, but it's just something that it's kind of hardwired in your mind as you go through the day. So we kind of have to come to a point where we are controlling our own thoughts and, you know, choosing to think differently about how people perceive us and how we perceive our situations, which, you know, definitely comes with time. So another thing that I noticed while doing research on this topic is that there were a lot of Black women who were expressing that non-Black people that they had come into encounter with automatically assumed that they would be a certain way or have a certain personality or be a certain type. They felt like this person expected them to be optimistic, very warm, very friendly, very talkative, very opinionated. And so, you know, in assuming that, it kind of created an ingenuine interaction where this person kind of made an assumption of this Black woman, and it just was not who she was. You know, it just didn't fit her personality or who she was. So before even getting to really know this person, you approach this person in a way that, you know, is based off of an assumption that you have of this person. And so I think that kind of goes back to the whole diversity of thought thing. You know, there are plenty of different races all across the globe, and Black people and Black women are no exception when it comes to the fact that there are just several different types of Black women and different types of personalities, and not everyone is the same. Now, it really just so happens that I personally am that person. Like, I do feel like I am that optimistic, warm, friendly person. That doesn't mean that I'm an extrovert by any means. You know, I'm not always wanting to be in the mix when it comes to conversations. I don't feel like I need to have, you know, a lot of friends or a lot of group conversations with a lot of people. I do appreciate my alone time and time where I can generate my own energy. I don't necessarily feed off of energy of other people, but I do appreciate workspaces, and I do kind of appreciate being around people. And I do get energy from being around people. So, you know, it really just goes back to what your experience has been, or maybe even your lack of experience with a lot of Black women and a lot of Black people, to be able to see the differences that these people have, or people like me have. And I think that just comes with being able to somehow get into spaces where there are predominantly Black people, and then you're going to be able to kind of get used to seeing Black people in a way that maybe you've never seen or never experienced before. And so there are just many different avenues that you can kind of take this when it comes to people's personal experiences. So that is why I really want to do another deep dive into multicultural and unicultural experiences, because I think that it's just really interesting how there can be so many different perspectives. And I think that we just have to kind of be patient with ourselves and learn how to just be more authentic when it comes to who we truly are, and being okay with being confident and okay with being who we are and not feeling like we have to please, not feeling like we have to show up in a way that makes other people comfortable, and doing that without being negative. And I think that that's something that we do a lot of the times, but we just kind of have to keep that at the forefront of our minds when it comes to having a career, because just because you're an introverted person does not mean that you don't want to advance in your career. And just because you're an extroverted person doesn't mean that you have the golden ticket to one day be at the very top and be the CEO of the company. It just means that the people who are really advancing in their career understand how to bring their authentic selves to workspaces in order to move the needle and push the task forward, and become successful in whatever project or situation that they're in. So are Black women expected to be extroverted while at work? Expectations of other people, I think, yes, you can say that there are certain situations where in workspaces, especially workspaces where those people in those spaces have not had a lot of experiences with a lot of different types of people, may expect a certain person or a Black woman to be the way that maybe they've seen on TV. A lot of times when you see Black women on TV, even though we have so many Black actresses, the main time you will see a Black person on TV, if you're not watching like a Black TV show or a TV show that has a Black actress in it or something like that in the media, it's when you watch like the news, right? So I grew up in an area in Virginia where it was a very multicultural area. I also grew up in the 90s where there were so many different characters on TV and performers on TV who were Black. So I don't feel like I missed out. There was just so many very talented Black people. But watching the news every day and watching the newscasters, when you're a newscaster, you act a certain way. You're warm, you're getting the story across. Even if you're stern about what you're saying, you have a certain kind of aura and personality about yourself that kind of draws people into what you're saying. And because of that, a lot of times that's the only time somebody may see a Black woman in their experience is on TV. Or, maybe they had that one teacher in their school who is just the sunshine of everyone's life. And that could be so. There are places in this world and in America that are predominantly of other races other than Black. And I say that only because I live in a predominantly Black community where at this time where I'm just around Black people all the time that, sometimes I'm like, how can you not know? How can you not know about Black people and the differences and like, why is this such a big deal? But it is a big deal to a lot of people who don't have that experience where they just have a surplus of Black people excelling and having different ideas and, having different political backgrounds. Those people may be confused and just may not have the experience of being around many different Black people. So when they get into these workspaces that ultimately a lot of times end up being predominantly non-Black, they try to connect, or maybe they try to connect with people based on the experiences that they've had in the past. So that's why I feel like it's really important to have these types of conversations so that we all can kind of learn and do research and get on the same page and kind of talk and discuss so that we can have a better understanding of the world around us, and a better understanding of the fact that, we all have so many things in common. And if we can just understand each other a little bit better, I think that in itself will make work environments and career advancement and advancement of thought and advancement of technology and advancement of economics and everything a little bit more easily achievable. So yeah, I would definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments about this, and just continue to have this type of discussion moving forward, and to have it in a way that, is inviting and is unassuming and, is something that everyone can kind of participate in and get an earful of. Now, at the beginning of this video, I mentioned 5 different ways that you can be more authentic when it comes to building your career, whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, or whatever the case may be. These 5 tips are going to help you be more of your authentic self when it comes to your workspace, regardless of your personality type. So the first thing that I want to talk about is knowing where your promotions come from. This is a lesson that I really had to learn the hard way, just because I am that type of person who enjoys career building and getting to the next level. But it's easy to overextend yourself and try so hard to get people to see that, you deserve to go to the next level, or you want to go to the next level in your career. And then when you're an introvert, or when you feel like you have an introverted personality, it can be very discouraging to you to kind of think that you're being overlooked, and people are not really taking you seriously when it comes to promotions that you may have your eye on. It's important to know that the right door is always going to open for you. So I like to think about it as it's either this or it's something better. And that kind of helps me take the pressure off of my performance. And you always want to put your best foot forward, regardless of whatever the case may be. Whether your boss wants to give you that promotion, whether, there's something else that's better for you that you may not be able to see, your promotions are always going to come within you, regardless of whether it's at a job or in life. You know what I'm saying? So having that mindset of it's either going to be this or it's going to be something better helps you to kind of keep that positive outlook about promotions and growing your career and advancing in your career. And it takes the pressure off of it so that you're not constantly thinking about what people think about you, how people are responding to your personality, whether or not you feel like you have to intentionally, be the center of attention, or whatever the case may be. Always know that your promotion comes from within you, and it's either going to be this or it's going to be something better that fits you, and it's just better for you in your life in general. Another tip to being more of your authentic self is to know your job description. Really know what it is and have a clear understanding of what you're being expected to do and the role that you play within the organization. If your role does not require you to interact with people and talk to people and lead in terms of communications, then maybe that is the job that is best suited for you, because maybe you're a behind the scenes person, or maybe you are a tech person or a computer person or something like that, where you don't necessarily have to interact with a lot of people. And then if you do find yourself having to, share communications with people during meetings and things like that, then it's really important for you to always come to that meeting or come to that situation as prepared as possible. You want to make sure you're taking very in-depth notes and staying focused and staying on task with the matter that's at hand, because a lot of times people are going to be shooting out information and jumping ahead to answer questions and share their opinions, and you want to make sure that you're not, missing things, and you remember what you want to say and the information that you need to bring to the table. Ooh, definitely almost got choked up there, but another strength to being an introvert is that typically you are a really great listener. So it's important to, know what skills come with being an introvert and make sure you are the one, like you are the introvert in the group. Like you are the super introvert. You're a great listener. You're a great note taker. You're very patient. You can wait around. And that's a lot of times that's a really good trait to have, because there's going to be so much information that's being shared and so many people are going to be trying to, put out their information all at once. And you have the opportunity to really soak in what everyone is saying in that time frame. You're able to soak it all in. And if you're taking really good notes and you're really in tune and focused and staying on task with the matter with what's going on, then you're going to be able to, share some really great input back to the team when it comes time to doing so. Always make sure that, you're speaking up in meetings, you're speaking up when you're around your superiors and things like that. Other than that, you can do your own thing as an introvert. Just make sure that you're confident in who you are and knowing what your strengths are, so that you don't feel like you have to succumb to other people's expectations of you. Make sure you know that subject matter. Make sure you're listening and you're in tune, and you'll be totally fine, just as long as you are knowing what your job description is and you have a really clear understanding of your role that you play in the organization. Thirdly, it's really important for you to be able to identify the people who are going to help you progress in your career. Those will be the key players who are going to be responsible for helping you take your career to the next level. Now, if you're not trying to advance in your career at all, then by all means, don't talk to anyone. Be on, do your own thing and have your own kind of vibe going on. But if you are interested in advancing your career and taking yourself to the next level, you're going to need other people to help you get there. Even if you are an introvert, doesn't matter your personality type, nobody can make it to the top by themselves. There's no I in team unless you're Michael Jordan and he has Scottie Pippen and a lot of other people helping him, be the great person that he was when it comes to the sport of basketball. So like I said, it's really important for you to know the key players who are going to help you progress in your career. And a lot of times that is going to be your direct manager or your direct supervisor, who is going to be the most influential person in helping you move your career to the next level. What you need to do in that situation when it comes to having a relationship with your direct manager, first of all, remember that you are in a professional setting, and it's really important for you to know that job description. Know exactly what that person is expecting of you, so that you're able to better understand what their goals are and what is motivating them in their job, so that you're able to better assist them and that person getting to the next level, right? And in doing that, you gain their trust, right? You gain trust because now they know that you are there to help. You are there to move the culture. You are there to move the needle forward on whatever the goal is or the project is at hand. And you also show on a day-to-day basis that you have this type of, work ethic, this type of attitude towards whatever it is that you're doing. And especially when you're first starting out with your career, your direct manager is going to be the main person that is going to help you navigate through, getting to the next level of your career. Of course, you want to network. Of course, you want to meet other people, but it's really important for other people to see that you have this relationship with your direct manager, or with the people who are directly, on your team, and the people who you influence on a day-to-day basis as it pertains to whatever the job is that you are doing. So you want to firstly make sure that you have a great relationship with that person, and you are expressing yourself in a way that helps them understand what is going to motivate you and what is going to help you reach your goals at the end of the day. And that person is also going to typically be the person who is going to introduce you to any other person that you may want to pivot your career into. But you always want to know who all the key players are in any organization that you are working for or doing consultations for, or whatever the case may be, just so that you have those contacts in case you need to reach out, ask a question, build a relationship. You always want to know who the key players are in any organization that you are interested in advancing your career within. The fourth tip that I have on how to be more authentic, even if you are an introvert at work, is knowing your subject matter and being comfortable with bragging on yourself. No matter what it is that your personality type is, no one can overlook you when you know what you're talking about and when you're presenting yourself in a way that is excellent. There's a quote that says, "Be so good that no one can ignore you." And that is really something that you want to always keep in the back of your mind when you are working and when you are, trying to gain the influence that you need to build your career and get to the next level. So there's really no excuse. Even if you are an introvert, you need to know what it is that you have been tasked to do, and you need to be able to express that in a way that moves the needle on whatever projects it is that you are working on. Being an introvert really doesn't have anything to do with whether you know what you're talking about or whether you don't, whether you know your subject matter or whether you don't. So that mindset right there, you just need to take and throw into the trash, because it really has nothing to do with you being an introvert, but it has everything to do with you being prepared and you taking accountability in your work and bringing that to the table in a way that people can't ignore you, when you are doing your job. So yeah, it really has nothing to do with you being an introvert. It just has everything to do with you, knowing the difference between not wanting to be bothered with disingenuous small talk and you not knowing what it is that you actually are tasked to do. And so you don't talk or you don't engage. Knowing your subject matter is really important. And then also being comfortable with bragging on yourself, letting people know what you think, letting people know what you did, letting people know what part of the project you were responsible for. And if you were working with your coworker, being confident enough to say, along with such and such, I was able to do X, Y, and Z. Or because of the help of so-and-so, such and such and so-and-so, I was able to accomplish X, Y, and Z as it pertains to this project that I'm working on. Always be confident with bragging on yourself and explaining what it is that you did and what part you had in a project. and knowing your subject matter and all of that. That's going to give you the added confidence that you need to authentically show up in certain spaces when it comes to building your career. And lastly, it's really, really important for you to know when it's time to move on. Okay? You have to be the one to be able to discern when a situation is no longer serving you, or just when it's time to move on. Just because you are an introvert doesn't mean that you have to stay in an organization until they finally, recognize that you're even there because you're so quiet and you're not talking. You have to be able to know when you've put in all that you can. A lot of times it's when you've reached a specific goal, you've reached a certain milestone in your career, or you've gotten to the point where you've worked at an organization and you've been able to, affect a culture change of some sort within that organization. You've gotten to a point where you've been able to advance yourself and advance your career and advance your skill set within that organization. Or maybe that organization or that client is just no longer serving you in a way that is going to help you grow. You do have the opportunity to be able to seek out other opportunities that will help you grow, or even start your own, side hustle or situation or business venture that will help you grow while you're also growing this over here. The great thing about living in 2020 and living kind of like in the future from people's perception of, work life and work life balance from the past is that you have the opportunity to do so many things. Anything that you want to do basically in this day and time with the technology that we have, with the certain platforms that we have, with the way that businesses are ran these days. You have the opportunity to kind of do your own thing and fulfill your own self when it comes to building your career, and that is a great plus. So knowing when it's time for you to move on from an organization, or when you've just been there for so long and you've reached so many goals and achieved so many culture changes within the organization, it just may be better to serve yourself looking for other opportunities in other places. You may have gotten to all the promotions that you're able to get within that organization. You still have to know and to be able to discern for yourself how you feel and when you are ready to move on to the next opportunity. And that's perfectly fine. That nothing wrong with you moving and knowing when it's time to let a situation go. That is a sign of strength, and any organization would be more than happy to have someone who has this type of judgment and this type of discernment about themselves and about their environment, to be able to make a decision to move on, or to leave a certain opportunity that you had in the past for something else in your future. Everyone is important. Everyone is entitled to, creating their career in their own way. And I feel like we are really, really lucky in this day and time to be able to have all of the resources that we have to create the careers that we've always dreamed of having, regardless of what it is that you do. There's always a path, there's always a platform, in this day and time that will help you to kind of orchestrate your own idea of who you want to be. So yeah, those are my tips for being authentic and helping yourself to kind of change your mindset. And you don't have to make excuses. You don't have to make excuses about your insecurities, about the way people are perceiving you, the way other people expect you to act. all of that will really just confuse you and get in your way anyways when you're trying to move forward with just about anything. Focusing on other people's expectations of you is never a positive way to move your life forward, and you don't have any responsibility towards how other people perceive you and what their expectations are of you. You know, there's nothing that says that you have to act a certain way because someone expects you to act a certain way, unless it has, you know, unless it's outlined in your job description. And that's why that's one of the very important things for you to be able to understand and know about, so that you kind of know where you kind of fit in the lines of what it is that you do, your job, your career, or whatever have you. So that is my opinion about, you know, are Black women expected to be extroverted? Who cares? Just be yourself and love yourself and go in being your authentic self, and then you'll succeed and you won't be able to be stopped. So I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say about this topic in the comments, and let's have a discussion about this. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share it. If you have, you know, got some good information from this video, share it with some people that you know, maybe need to hear something like this or need to have a community like this. If you want to send me a personal message, you can always email me or shoot me a message. I have all the social medias. Everything will be down in the description box below, so you know how to get to me. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done so already. And I'm so excited to continue doing these videos for all of you and for myself as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video.